I'm gonna go drag my butt to the post office at 7 a.m. to pick up my new layer hens. This might have been a mistake to buy them in January. I got them mostly wrapped up in a sweater and the seat heater is on. Let's get home. Well, this is sort of an experiment, flying in the face of most of my other methodology, in the sense that I bought these chicks out of season from Murray McMurray, and I had 0 deaths in transport, which is pretty amazing. But they kind of caught me off guard. They shipped a couple days early and came in overnight, so I have to go get some wood chips from the feed mill. Everything else is fine. I already had heat lamps and, obviously we had waters and that sort of thing. But this is just like a 1 week. I'm reusing that old, this is that old stock tank I accidentally put a hole in, so, reuse. And anyway, this is just going to be what they'll be in for a week or so, and then I have plans for a bigger brooder box, and I'm going to keep them in a brooder box until they're a month old, just because I'm pushing up hard against the inclement weather that we find ourselves in, instead of waiting for spring. And the main purpose behind this is that I mistimed. I mean, this is a product of me mistiming my chicken cycles, and we're low on egg-laying chickens right now, and so if I get them in May, they really won't be laying until Christmas time of 23, and so I'm pushing the envelope here, and hopefully I don't pay for it. Sorry. Hopefully I don't pay for it with, deaths and that sort of thing. Yeah, we'll see. They all look good so far. Before I keep going forward with my generally inane ranting and talking to myself out in the middle of a frozen field, I was talking to a fella named Joshua up in northern Minnesota, just about, some of the things that we're seeing with sheep ranching, and going back and forth about what we like and don't like and what we're trying to do as far as building our business. And he mentioned to me that he has a number of guard dogs that are kind of in the a variety of different ages, that he's looking to perhaps sell. These are not his core guard dogs. He bought a couple of guard dogs that ended up being pregnant. So he has a Boz Anatolian Pyrenees mix, about 16 months old. He has a couple that are about a year old that are Anatolian Great Pyrenees. And they've all been with sheep, cattle, mules, chickens, ducks since they were little puppies. They're trained to stay in on 120-inch hot wire, and have been out full-time dealing with coyotes and wolves up in northern Minnesota. So I will say that when I went to go buy my guard dogs, I went north, because if these dogs can handle wolves, they can handle the little scrawny coyotes that we have down here. So if you're interested, you can email me and Ann at ann@theburklefarm.com, and I'll put you in touch with Joshua. He's looking for, working farms for these to go to, and that's kind of his primary concern, is that they're given a job. Anyway, back to the normal thing. These guys look like they're struggling, don't they? Hey guys, they love it out here. All they did when I unrolled hay was go and roll in the hay. And then they're out running around again. I unrolled quite a bit of hay today, given the temps that we're seeing. Gave them about 25% more than I usually do for the day. You can see there's plenty there. When you keep animals outside, and in my mind you should, it's not can, but should, you do have to, be mindful in your management of, when it's cold, they have to have access to trees to get out of the wind. When it's cold, you have to give them a little bit more to eat.
you have to time lambing correctly, meaning I lamb in mid-May because that's when, you know, the deer are having their fawns. I think that's the right word. Yeah. And so, you know, it's not as straightforward as you'd like. It would be nice if you could just turn them out and collect them up again in the summer, you know, put them out in the field with 100 bales of hay and never come around, but that's just not the case. But we're going further afield, as you can see, spreading hay a little further from the original repair zone that was over here. You can see it's quite a bit more trampled. I'm satisfied with the work we've done with that, so we're moving on and spreading hay further. But as you can see, the dogs are happy. They're just curious, right? You guys just want pets. And you know, as far as managing dogs on the outside, I think it would have to depend on the breed. This guy came from Bulgarian mountains, okay? She came from Italian mountains. That one came from Spanish mountains. This is cold, but it's not outside of their breed's ability to manage it. Not to mention they're on full feed, meaning they have a gravity feeder. They get as much food as they like. They get every egg that we get that cracks from the cold. We bring it in, thaw it out, and put it in a bucket, and they get it. So they get probably 5 or 6 eggs every couple of days for extra protein. They get lamb bones and scraps, beef bones and scraps, pig bones and scraps. And if you know, when I pet them, I'm not just petting them. I'm feeling, do they have fat underneath their fur? And yeah, they do. And the same thing goes for these sheep. They need fat on them, so you have to give them calories. But if you do that and you manage properly for the weather circumstances, look at them thriving. Do any of them look like they're hurting? Nope, just hanging out. When I pull up every morning, there's not a bit of complaining from the sheep or the cattle. But about 90% of the time, they're still laying down, chewing their cud on the edge of the woods. You know, I was talking to Doug, you know, and he ran a dairy for 50 years, and his neighbor's a little younger, maybe in his 40s, and he said, you know, Troy keeps outside of milking. Troy's dairy cows are outside all year round, and I think he's got the right idea because they stay healthy. And you know, and Doug said, you know, you can look at Troy's cows, and they're better for being outside than being in a barn, primarily because barns breed disease, in my opinion. You know, and not because they're like inherently dirty. Even if you keep them clean, they hold moisture in the walls and in the ground, and the animals necessarily, even if you clean them, have to be among the muck a little bit more. So, you know, I'm not, if you want to, you know, I'm not saying you can't keep animals. Hey, hey, hey! That white dog sometimes tries to play still. That was just me hollering at her that I didn't like her playing with the sheep. She can play with the other dogs, but she can't play with the sheep. And it's amazing too, because these dogs are so well tuned that just using a different voice like that, they understand that I don't like it, and that's enough for them to stop what they're doing. It's great. So anyway, as Doug always tells me, you're never too old to learn. And he's watched his neighbor transform his dairy management, which is a lot of animal handling. You know, he has to milk twice a day. He turns his animals out in between milkings because he's seen the benefits from managing disease and animal welfare of keeping them outside, even in this. I mean, I might be wrong, but it's about getting the right breed too. And so if you have, if there's a concern about keeping your animals outside, I would say just look at George Heller's videos. Look at mine. We're in the coldest spot in the country. Maybe North Dakota, I don't know. And with the right animals and the right management, they don't survive. They thrive out in this, okay? Some of these are first-year ewe lambs that are gaining. I'm seeing them gain. And they have a fat cap on them at their tail head. in the winter on hay alone, no grain. So I'm not saying you can do that in every circumstance. I'm not saying you can do that with every animal, but with the right animals and the right management, it is possible in one of the harshest environments in the country.